What is coming to you live and 15 minutes late if you're watching this live from the Cat House in Montebello, California. It's time for Dre's Geek Philosophy Podcast, the July 20th edition, episode 183. The Dre is a zombie. Because, all this time, Rosa and I, while Rosa was pregnant with our baby, and we were constantly told, oh, goodbye sleep, goodbye sleep. That's what you always hear, goodbye sleep. But you know what? I feel like the one thing that people don't mention is that you're permanently exhausted for like the rest of your life. It's like I feel permanently tired forever. But one of my coworkers told me, oh, don't worry, that'll go away when your kid turns 18. Comedy. You know what else is funny? Today's episode is brought to you by Streets of Rage 4 for the Nintendo Switch. This comes out next week, July 30th. We already have a video up. What's up, Art? We have a video up on our YouTube page. We have a video here on Facebook. We have a video on Instagram. Damon, awesome you're watching. Yeah, this is not the limited run version. The limited run has their exclusive window where they take forever to ship stuff. So I think our version might show up before their version will show up. Well, I know some people have gotten theirs. If you hear a rattle in the background, that's our executive producer, Tiger Limon. He's on the ones and twos. He's on his jumperoo. He's going to be doing some executive producing. He's on his little soundboard over there. So you'll be hearing the boy in the background being adorable. He is happily jumping up and down in his jumperoo. What's up, executive producer? You doing good over there, boy? Awesome. Yes, Jai Polidor, you need a copy of that game. Don't worry, I got you. I know a guy. I know a guy who's a sales manager at Video Game Wholesale. That's me. I'm the sales manager at Video Game Wholesale. We'll get you squared away, Jai. Hey, yeah, well, let me start talking about this game, Streets of Rage 4. So I got an advanced copy, obviously, because I work at the place that's doing the exclusive distribution starting next Tuesday. Right now, it was exclusive. It's a limited run until next Tuesday. Originally, this was supposed to come out tomorrow, but limited run needed another week because they're slow at shipping stuff. So I believe that would be like next Thursday, or the 30th should be next Thursday, I think. Next Thursday, that sounds about right. Tomorrow would be the 21st, and the 30th would be next Thursday. So, this game, much harder. Like I'm sure most of us, our frame of reference for Streets of Rage is the good old Sega Genesis. That's where the first three iterations of this game came from, and that's the first game I got with my Sega Genesis when I was a young man, way back in 1993. I think was when I got my Genesis. I think I got 93. I got my Genesis. And the game that came with it, I did not get Sonic the Hedgehog 2 included in mine. I have my not-for-resale copy of Streets of Rage 2. And little did I know that I would play the daylights out of that game. Although I still love Streets of Rage 2. I'm pretty sure I bought it on the Virtual Console back on the Nintendo Wii, just so I could keep playing it. And then later on, I got the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. Do I have it on hand here? Why, yes, I do have the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, which this does have Streets of Rage 1 and 2. I don't know if this has the... actually does. It does have Streets of Rage 3. So this was the last time I was able to play Streets of Rage. But it was announced last year, this Streets of Rage 4. By Guard Crush, Dotemu, and Lizard Cube, I believe, were the developers on this one. And the publishers are good friends at Merge Games. A little known fact, Merge Games are the company I work for. We do all the distribution for Merge Games. Merge Games is an awesome company based out of the UK. They do a lot of cool games. I believe they were also responsible for another awesome game that came out last year called Dead Cells. I think that was their biggest game prior to this. Obviously, this was a big get for them to be creating and publishing this awesome new iteration. Yes, Team Blaze is in this, Axel is in this, and then there's 2 new characters where you start off with, and then I believe there's 8 other characters you unlock. I've already unlocked one of the characters. I already forgot his name, but he is the other character from Streets of Rage 1. And yes, you can unlock all the characters from Streets of Rage 2 and 3, I believe. I saw the kangaroo in a bar. He was tending bar in the game, so that was awesome. The first thing, 'cause I played this over the weekend and today. Man, the game is hard. It is much more difficult than back when I played it back on the old Sega Genesis. The enemies are a lot smarter, and there's a lot more depth to the game. I mean, the game has been out digitally for a couple of months now. If you're a person who prefers to buy digital, this is not a new release. It's been out for a little while. If you had Xbox Game Pass, you've been able to play it since May, I believe. But if you're a cranky old man like me and you have to have your game in a physical form where you have the physical cartridge, that way your digital media rights cannot be suddenly taken away without warning. This is the version I was waiting for. I was waiting. I'm like, all right, when are we gonna get that physical copy? And lo and behold, I have mine right here. My boss allowed me to get an advanced copy, so I could report on it, and it was cool about it because we're gonna use it as marketing for the game as well, to get all of our video game retailers who we work with. Like, hey, check it out, go buy this, stock it in your store. I mean, honestly, we haven't really had to twist anybody's arms to buy this game. And hell, Amazon is like buying big. So if you want to get your copy as soon as possible, go pre-order on Amazon. If you go, it's one of the top pre-orders on Amazon right now. I believe the Switch one is probably one of the top ones, followed by the PS4, the Xbox One. Because like most people on Xbox One, they have that Game Pass. I mean, they've already been able to play it. They don't care about having a physical copy. But if you're a grumpy old man, a grumpy old gamer like me, you can get a physical copy. Man, something else about the game. There's a lot more depth to this game than there was back in the OG Streets of Rage. I remember figuring out... I'm laughing at the guy who fights with his hands in his pockets. Yeah, that dude kicks you in the face, and he headbutts you. I don't like that guy. The guy who fights with his hands in his pockets, that's a new character, because they use a lot of sprites. I don't know if it's necessarily a new character, because I didn't play Streets of Rage 3, but I see a lot of the characters from Streets of Rage 2, and they frustrate me more now. It's much more frustrating. I'm like, hey, what the hell? Why is this so hard? Like, an area in the game I was stuck in, there's these 3 rooms where they throw a bunch of the crappy enemies at you, but they give them a bunch of weapons, and you suddenly get swarmed, and you have to strategically figure a way how to survive this room of crappy enemies. They only take a couple of hits each to kill, but when there's like 6 of them coming at you with swords or and like pole arms, I'm like, what the hell? They have so much range now. It was quite frustrating. I've gotten very used to using there's a character who is very much like Max. I want to unlock Max because Max is my guy. See, Jai, as he commented earlier, he's Team Blaze. I am Team Max. I use the hell out of Max because especially back then, back in old 93, 94, because Max is a freaking like professional wrestler, and all of his moves were like body slams and atomic drops and drop kicks, and it was really cool. I like using him, and then the first guy you get, I already forgot his name. But he has his robot arms. He plays very much like Max, but if I get further along in the game, I don't know how to do the unlock. I haven't gone to the old internet to figure out how do I unlock Max. How many points do I need to get my OG back so I can wreck fools with my sliding kick and get in there, because that was always my I could slide in. The block button, yeah, the enemies are blocking a lot. I see. Is there a block button? I'm not sure. I don't even know. Maybe one of the buttons is blocked, but I learned like if I hold down the punch button, it charges up, and you unleash a stronger punch, which was not in the OG one. I already knew about tap forward and hit the attack button. If you've played the original games, something new that they've done in this one is if you use your special, it still uses up your health. But if you don't get hit, if you use your special, it leaves it kind of like Marvel Capcom S. So like, oh, the bar is still there. If you beat up enemies before they hit you, it refills your health. But if they catch you while your thing is like, if it's empty and before you've refilled it, then it comes down and you're in destination fucked. But overall, I'm really enjoying the game. I can't wait for old people like me to get their hands on a physical copy of this game. It's pretty damn awesome. Well, I'm going to try to do some more videos of it. Uh, Time provided, if this little guy, oh, I think he just fell asleep on his jumper. Little guy fell asleep in his jumper. He tuckered himself out. My executive producer, Tiger, has tuckered himself out. But yeah, awesome game. But what I was thinking about today is like, what am I going to talk about this game aside from singing its praises and telling you all how good it is and how you should get your own get your copy, depending on what system you play. If you're playing on the Switch or on the PS4 or on the Xbox One, I was thinking like, how could I mean, we need a lot more titles like this from the past to be dredged up. I know we get a lot of remakes nowadays, but there could be stuff like this that can be mined from the past and brought forward. Like we talked about last week, Beautiful Joe. I'm like, what is stopping Capcom other than stubborn pride or stupidity from doing a remake or a remaster or just doing a Joe 3? Put it out digitally, see if it does well. Let those guys get a limited run, make a physical copy if they wanted to. There's probably games ripe for being brought back. Because yeah, Streets of Rage was an IP that hadn't been used since the mid '90s, since Streets of Rage 3. Because I'm pretty sure Sega clearly had done nothing with it since then. They kept reselling the old ones on virtual consoles and on compilation discs. It's on Front Street on last year's Sega Genesis Classics, that disc that they put out, and then the Sega Genesis. No, the Classics I think that was a year before, and then last year was the literal tiny Sega Genesis. They made sure people know, hey, look, Streets of Rage is on here, and the people at Merge Games got their hands on the license. They said, hey, Sega, can we license Streets of Rage and make a new one? And they did, but there's probably a lot of good stuff from the past that could be resurrected. It happens every once in a while. One of my favorite things that got resurrected, I guess now it's like, now I think about it, it's like 8 years ago or 9 years ago, was when Nintendo dredged up Star Fox 64 and put that on the 3DS. I was like, oh, cool. They literally they take an awesome game from the past, modernize it for the present, and a lot of more people get to enjoy it. I don't know why game companies are so aghast at this. There's plenty of stuff out there. I mean, I know many people want, give us new IPs, give us new ideas. The old Nintendo philosophy is like, they put out a Mario game, they put out a Mario Kart game, they put out, the Zelda games. This is the stuff that finances all the crazy ideas. Because, all those years as a Nintendo rep, all right, everybody, hold on, I got my Nintendo glass, take a drink. All those years as a Nintendo rep, I tell you, hey, if you guys want new IPs, you have to buy the new IPs they put out. Which segues me into this morning. Nintendo did a quick 8-minute announcement of games this morning. They put it out on Twitter yesterday that we're going to do a quick Nintendo Direct. That'll be less than 10 minutes. And of course, the most rabid and psychotic of Nintendo fans are like, oh, they're going to announce F-Zero, they're going to announce this. It's like no, it's third-party partners. So yeah, it was just a bunch of simple games. There's like a Rogue Warrior. That need to buy them full price before it goes on sale. Yeah, exactly. They need to pick them up when it releases to help support the product. So they made an announcement. They're gonna announce some Nintendo Switch stuff this morning. They announced this Rogue Warrior. They devoted a couple minutes to WWE Battlegrounds, which looks like a rehash of the WWE All Stars game that came out many moons ago. I want to say like 8-9 years ago, which I think I did buy that game on 3DS because I was playing my 3DS primarily 8-9 years ago. And they showed Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. They're gonna remake that game from the PS2, and then they announced Shin Megami Tensei 5, and that was it. And I was like, well, for some Nintendo fans, like, that's it? Where's F-Zero? Where's this? Where's all this other stuff that I dream of? It's like, no, like they're gonna do other directs. Nintendo always, just they're only gonna give you what they want you to know, and all these people build themselves up. Like Nintendo was about to make an announcement. All right, they're gonna announce all the things I want. No, they're not. They didn't have their E3 press conference. They're gonna just delay all that stuff. They still haven't even announced all the like I said last week. They haven't even announced all the Mario anniversary stuff that they planned on because, sorry, COVID-19 fucked everything up. especially over there in Japan. They're all having to work from home, and they can't really work from home with a lot of sensitive information. So I don't know how they're transporting that data around, if they have to have some courier bring a literal hard drive to them. Yep, we're still waiting on Bayonetta 3. I know, Jai, you're still waiting with bated breath. I know you were hoping that was going to be what was announced this morning. But I guess technically that's a second-party game, my friend, because Nintendo is the one footing the bill for that, just like they footed the bill for Bayonetta 2. And yeah, it's like, see, Nintendo's the one. People dog on Nintendo all the time, and I honestly, ever since third grade, I've been a Nintendo defender for my entire life. I literally was paid to be a Nintendo defender for 7 years, but I did it for free for the previous freaking 20 or 15, however many years you want. You do the math. I've been defending Nintendo for my whole life, and they operate on their own freaking. They operate on their own schedule. They don't care about what anyone else does. We have a whole podcast that was dedicated to this a few years ago. If you want to go dredge that up, it's on our YouTube, I think, where I explain Nintendo's business practices. This is where, like, if I was a really good content provider, there'd be a link right there, like, link to episode Drain Explains Nintendo. Maybe I'll do that for the YouTube version if I ever have time at work to do that. And yeah, they're just going to do their own thing. And I think because they do whatever they want and they clearly don't listen to the people on the internet, that's what frustrates the internet fans. Because you see, like, Sony and Microsoft trying to kowtow to them, like, oh, look what we're doing for you. Look what we've done. Look, we're listening to you. Where Nintendo's like, here's a game that we planned on releasing. We didn't base it on any fan feedback. Here you go. And then the Nintendo fans are like, all right, well, I mean, they're giving Animal Crossing, and then I believe in Nintendo's mind, like, here is Animal Crossing. You should be busy for the next forever. But then there's always a segment like, no, we want more. Give me Metroid. Give me this. Give me all the things. And this could be said for most fans. My boss at work and I, we were having this discussion last week over the insatiability of Nintendo fans. How they, in my opinion, they can be the most unsatisfied fans. Like, you could say in some aspects of the Xbox fans or the Sony fans, they can also be very unsatisfied with things. But I feel there's no one as vocal or vocally unhappy as rabid Nintendo fans. They're constantly set themselves up for disappointment. They do it to themselves, and it is oddly fascinating how it happens. It makes no sense to me how they do this to me. Yeah, I see right there, Ryan. Your wife is obsessed with Animal Crossing. Yeah, you've created another Nintendo consumer right there. They love the they love Nintendo. Love the freaking. They love that stuff. Why is my audio? Yeah, you create a monster. Yes, that's what happens with Nintendo. You find something that really hits you, and then you're all in. There's Animal Crossing hits a different demographic than some people are obsessed with Mario games. Some people are obsessed with the Zelda games. Some people get obsessed with Metroid and are constantly unhappy and sad they don't get more Metroid. But they fulfill a lot of niches. But yeah, toxic fans are killing everything. This is true across the board. This is what happens in a lot of things. There's the toxicity. Obviously it affects movies and comic books. But for this specific instance, I'm focusing on Nintendo fan because I have to do a lot of video game research at work. I'm constantly having to look at stuff and find stuff. And like right now, we're selling a lot of the Nintendo Switch, so I have to do a lot of research on that. And when I go to these Nintendo fan sites and look up stuff, I just see the vocal minority, because it's not every fan. Clearly, it's not every single fan, but there's so many of them who like lose their minds. Ryan, you had to move back to your PS4 because I never get to touch my Switch after we put the baby to bed because your wife is too busy checking on her town. It's funny, I saw my Facebook memories. I think how many years ago I was playing the 3DS Animal Crossing, and I think however many years ago today, we're like, whoop, I ran into Resetti for the first time because my cartridge fell out of my freaking 3DS. I popped my cartridge on my 3DS. And I don't, like, the addictive collector in me misses Animal Crossing, but the logical, sane person in me does not miss playing Animal Crossing. I see plenty of my friends who are still playing it. A lot of my Nintendo rep friends who are playing it right now. They're still playing it. They post up that, oh, gates open, come sell your turnips. And it sounds like a drug deal going on. Come sell your turnips. Yeah, but to get back to my original point, it's frustrating for me as a person. I have to like make decisions at work about what we're carrying or what we're pushing. I push a lot of what's going on our social media, and it's like every time I like, oh, let's pick some Nintendo Switch games. I feel like I have to be very careful because then I'm just gonna get like some negative backlash because, oh, you're excluding this game. Oh, why don't you promote this? Oh, yeah. See, Damon, that's a very logical decision. Refuse Animal Crossing. If you want to play other things, I always had to quit Animal Crossing every time. Especially the portable ones. It was just like, oh, well, I get obsessed. I need to fish. I need to catch bugs. I need to dig up everything. And you're like, wait, I had all these other games I wanted to play, and I'd had to quit cold turkey. I believe the first DS one. I remember there was a day where I just like took the cartridge out and put it in its case. I'm like, I can never do that again. Of course, I fell right back into the 3DS one, but I think I got out of that one quicker. I think I fell out of the 3DS one after 3 months instead of like 6 months of playing it straight, where I was just like, no. But it is therapeutic. I have put on the music for my wife many times, and she's like, wow, this is really pleasant. I'm like, yes, that's the music composers. I think they're the real MVPs of Animal Crossing, because it's just it's always so pleasant to be in the game. There's just a pleasantness, like the audio. I think that's probably, honestly, I think it's the most important part of Animal Crossing is the music and the sounds of this little town. It just puts you at ease, unless you missed out on selling your turnips or whatever. Then I'm sure that causes all sorts of crazy trauma. But yeah, they have really crazy, awesome composers. Yeah, Nintendo music, yeah. As much as people crap on Nintendo, they really do put a lot of quality. Like, the reason why I always gravitate back to Nintendo is like, when you get those first party titles, they put a lot of effort into them. There's a reason they don't put out a Mario game every single year, a la a Call of Duty, or what used to happen in the Tony Hawk, or what's happened to a lot of what was happening to Assassin's Creed, where it's like, oh, let's put one out every year because people want a new one. No, they take 3-4 years. They work on a Mario game. They work on a Zelda game. They work on or the Smash Brothers. Like poor Sakurai, I think I might have mentioned that last week. The poor guy literally kills himself, and the Smash fans are never happy. The guy's arm is falling off because he's working 18-hour days, friggin' coding and programming, and like he sacrifices his own health for the sake of the game, and the fans are like, not good enough. I want Cloud. Oh wait, we got Cloud? I want Goku. I want Ryu. Oh, we got Ryu? I want obscure character from a game that will never show up. It just... That's where... It makes me sad, this disproportionateness between the amount of work that these people, these incredibly polite Japanese guys in Kyoto who work on these games and hurt themselves to create all this amazing experiences, and then the fans are like, well, why can't I get another Mario Kart? And I'm like, because they worked themselves in overtime to give you Mario Kart 8. And I'm sure at some point we're going to get Mario Kart 9, because the 8 Deluxe, that was just a rehash of the Wii U one. I think that was just to kind of to appease people until yeah, John, of course you want Mai. Of course, they gave us Terry. You want Mai. I don't think Mai will get past the Nintendo standards and practices. Somehow Bayonetta did, but I don't think Mai will make it past. I'm sure when they asked SNK, or whoever controls SNK, like, who do you want to represent SNK? I'm sure all the pervs are like, Mai, but like, Terry Bogard. See, now I got derailed by that. Like, see, good old the Dre's train of thought derailed right there. Oh, the quality of the games. That's what's awesome about it, and that's what hurts me when people just shit on Nintendo. It's like, because people don't, they only care about what they want, not about what they have. And It's this selfishness and the toxicity of these people where nothing is ever good enough. But there are, all those years where I was out being the physical embodiment of Nintendo. I did see good fans. I did see psychopath fans. Like literally, I think my first month, I remember a guy asking me like, "Can you explain to me why Princess Zelda has never given Link a kiss?" And then thankfully, I had my regional manager with me. I'm like, "You know what, boss? Why don't you take this one? I'm gonna sit back. I'll let you handle this guy." Some GameStop senior game advisor desperately need to know why Princess Zelda has never given it up to Link. And this 20-year vet of Nintendo just like had to casually be like, well, that's not something that's in the content of Legend of Zelda. You have to keep in mind it's just a game. Some of the I constantly I remember when I was repping, I was constantly asked, "Oh, do you get mad when you deal with the Nintendo haters?" I'm like, no, the Nintendo haters are really easy to deal with. Like they tell you how much they hate Nintendo. I'm like, all right, cool. Sucks to be you. Show me on the Nintendo where it hurt you, and I just do some low level insult and just end it there. It's always the really psychotic fans. Those were the hard ones to. They could never be appeased. they could never be happy. It's like, why don't you have anything Yoshi? I need more Yoshi things. Like, oh, sorry, I don't have a Yoshi thing. Sorry, he's not on the agenda right now. Yeah, Princess Toadstool's not giving it up to a plumber, right? She's getting kidnapped all the time because apparently Bowser has what she needs. Oh! Yeah, people are they're focused on the wrong thing. the insanity of the most ardent of fans. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan, but I've never approached the level of psychosis. What was it? A few years ago when New Super Mario Brothers U came out on Nintendo Switch, or New Super Mario Brothers, whatever, the New Super Mario Brothers Deluxe, whatever, the crazy one. They took a Wii U game and put it and put it on the Switch. They added that power up where like, oh, there's a tiny like little Toad can turn into a princess or whatever, and then the internet just took that and created Bowsette, and then DeviantArt went to town on that, and then hussy-ish cosplayers had fun with that. It's like, see, this is what you do. Damn you, internet! Damn you, fandom! Look how you ruin things. This is why we can't have nice things. The insane fans, the toxic fans, the extreme fans drive me crazy. And let me segue into something else. You know who's really suffering right now at this very moment? Of all the fandoms that are currently suffering, it's the convention fan, the people who have to go to conventions or who need to go to conventions. Currently, they're in great suffering now because this week. Shoulda, coulda, woulda been San Diego Comic-Con. The Comic-Con of the city of Wales Vagina was supposed to be this week. And while there is going to be a virtual convention happening, I see the lament of many fans. I see it among my Facebook friends, some of the cosplayer friends or general nerd friends who love to go. I was talking about it with my boss, and then my boss is like, "Oh man, I've always wanted to go," and I'm like, you missed out. I have a very bougie attitude about it. I'm like, oh, Comic-Con. The last time Comic-Con was good was 2007. Yeah, see, San Diego Comic-Con is just, it's too much now. It's, I remember the last time I went, 2012, and then that's when I still had a blog. I remember I wrote a breakup blog where I broke up with San Diego Comic-Con. I'm like, it's not you, San Diego Comic-Con, it's me. I have to go. You're not for me anymore. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait in line anymore. I don't want to deal with insane groups of people who are desperately trying to buy the exclusives so they can turn around and put them on eBay. I don't want to deal with the guy who waits in line to ask stupid questions of all these creators. I just want to hear the creators talk about their creative process. When I go to the comic book panels, I want to just go to the comic book panels. I can't even get inside because there's people who they're waiting for some other thing. See, 2006. I bet that was an amazing Comic Con. You got to see Tenacious D live in concert. That sounds awesome. I had the fortune to go. I believe I got to go in '08. That was my the first time I'd ever gotten, because by circumstance I didn't get to go during the really good years of, like, between like 98 and 2000 something, when it was like, all right, cool stuff was happening, but you could walk up and buy a ticket. You didn't have to like sit in a queue online and pray to that random number generators would allow you to buy a ticket, and therefore later on get another random number generator so you can get a hotel room. Like, it used to be a lot easier. It used to just be, you could just show up to San Diego. You go to Hotel Circle, get a room, go to the convention center. Hi, I'd like one, please. And you go inside, and you get to see comic books. And now it's not about comic books anymore. It's MediaCon. They really, I'm sure, because they have the phrase Comic-Con trademark, they should really just change it to MediaCon. San Diego MediaCon, because that's what it is. And that's what it's broken down. That's what all of these, I shouldn't say all of these, the majority of these shows are media conventions. And it saddens me. Like, I know a lot of people still have never experienced it, and a lot of people still want to experience it. I don't begrudge them, but I just like it to go now in its current state. It's you're not going to a convention about comic books. You're going to a convention about lines, about exclusive items that no one else can get until you can buy them on the internet later as someone at a 1,000% markup. I remember I think that first year there was an Iron Man Mighty mug, when I was collecting those Mighty mugs, and thankfully I got in the right ticket, and I stood in the right line, and I'm like, okay, cool. I would like the Iron Man Mighty mug, please. Like, his little face opened up and like RDJ. Yeah, see, if I could have gone to Comic-Con like in the mid '90s, that would have been awesome. I had a chance to go, because when I was young, at Dang Wong, about Comic Galaxy back then, I had a chance to go, where the first owner of Comic Galaxy was like, oh yeah, you should come. You have the best time of your life, because back then, midnight, it was just about comics. There was no movie studios. There was no TV networks. It was just, you want to see everything about comics, you'd fill up a sketchbook with free sketches of all, like, you'd go find your favorite artists, and they'd just be chilling, and they're like, oh, cool, can I get a sketch of, I could walk up to Jim Lee and get a sketch. I mean, theoretically, Jim Lee still does free sketches. It's very hard to find him because he's the co-publisher of DC Comics. It was a lot easier back when he was just Marvel artist or Image artist Jim Lee. Apparently, he just loves to draw for people. See, that would have been my goal if young teenage Ray had been able to go to Comic-Con. My mom didn't let me. She was like, nope, you can't go to San Diego for a couple days. Like, but I would like to go to San Diego. My boss is going to take me. We're all going to go as a group. We're just going to close the store for 4 days, because everyone's down there anyway. There's no reason for the store to be open, because everyone's in San Diego. All the hardcore comic fans of the mid-'90s, they'd go to San Diego Comic-Con. And there wasn't a crazy amount of hardcore comic fans who would go down there. I believe it wasn't even the entire convention center back then. Now they have to use the entire convention center and the Marriott and the Hilton Bayfront, and they have to use the Hyatt, and they have to use everything all around to just contain everything now. And yeah, I regret not being able to go. And then I regret not using my early 20s to go, because I think that would have been ideal. I don't know if I was a responsible enough adult at that time. I don't know if, I'm trying to think where I was in my life. I know either where I was working at Fry's or working at GameStop, or even before that when I was just working, or I was working at the comic shop. I think after when the second owner of Comic Galaxy took over, I was always the one left behind. It's like, oh no, you're the responsible one. You have to stay here. I think now I remember now as I'm rummaging around through my old memories here, I think that's what I think I got screwed early 2000s, because I was the responsible one in the comic shop, so I had to stay behind while the second owner, because he would buy a table and he'd go sell a bunch of stuff at Comic Con, so I had to stay behind to make sure the store was okay, and I was going to be salty about that. I'm like, oh, but I'm pretty sure I was also broke back then, so it wasn't the biggest loss. Yeah, no more Comic Galaxy. Now it's hair time. That's right. Rest in peace, Comic Galaxy. The closest we got is, we got old Pete Molini over there in Nostalgic Books and Comics in San Gabriel. That's the closest we'll get to Comic Galaxy, because Pete was the last employee of Comic Galaxy, so he carries that torch forward in his current shop, Nostalgic Books and Comics. Although even I think he got tired of. Well, once he became the owner of a shop, he stopped going. Right? We didn't know that we were supposed to take care of the books. Yeah, so you wish you knew how to take care of your books, Ryan. Yeah, I kind of knew, because like when I was in middle school and I started buying comic books, everyone I knew had them in the sleeves and the bags and boards. So I kind of understood from I understood from that time. Anything I bought when I was in like elementary school, yeah, all those things got trashed. Whatever my Mask Mobile Action Strike Team. Mobile MASK. I forget what the acronym. Combat teams, like combat something. I trashed those because I was like just reading them on my bed. I'm like, all right, and then just throw them off to the side. Whatever, I'll read it later. Spill a drink. Who cares? I forgot. I think I had like a couple of Amazing Spider-Mans. I think I had an Invincible Iron Man. Yeah, Mask, right? Just unlock some memories for you, Damon. I had some of those toys. I had the Camaro where the wings popped up, and the little the motorcycle, the motorcycle with the side pod that turned into a submarine, a tiny submarine. Yeah, I had a few of those Mask toys. Those were pretty cool. The Cadillac that like popped up. G.I. Joes. See, the G.I. Joe comic book. Oh, Larry Hama. Oh, the semi-truck. I think everyone wanted the semi-truck. I think I only had one friend who had the semi-truck. Centurions. For some of my gaming friends, I was telling them about a lot of old cool toys. Centurions. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember. There's this toys. When I was in 4th grade, they were my favorite. This thing's called Starcom. They were space toys, and then no batteries required. They used magnets. You go Google Starcom toys. It was the trippiest stuff. It was like, the little figures had little magnets inside. So like the elevator would go up, and then it was like, and there's no batteries required. I remember that was my big selling point to my mom. Like, we don't have to buy batteries. Silverhawks, Visionaries. Yeah, Damon, we're like almost the same age. You know all that stuff. Power, Centurions, Man and Machine, Power Extreme. Oh, see, Damon, you had Starcom. Awesome. The bad guy ships were way cooler than the good guy ships. I had that big triangle-looking ship where you press the button in the back and the front would open, and then you could stick something in it. I saved my allowance for like a month straight so I can buy that giant monster. There's a lot of I lament. They're like, oh man, my son won't have any, because I didn't keep most of these toys. The only toys I have in my storage for my you see, you know which one I'm talking about, that big freaking thing, the big button in the back. It's awesome. I don't the no batteries required. It, like, you use pulley. I think you use rubber bands and use pulleys and use magnets. The reset everything. It was like it blew my mind as a 4th grader. I'm like, look at these things. It's so awesome. I think I had the hero base. Like it would go flat and you'd stand it up and it'd be an elevator. I wish I had, because I wanted to have all that stuff for my kid. I think the only thing I have is I have a bunch of Transformers from like the early 2000s that I bought at Toys R Us when I was working at Toys R Us, because it was in no, this is before the movies, and that they had repainted a lot of the classic Transformers, and I bought a bunch of them, and I opened them because like I want to open them. Like, even though I was like 20 or 21 at the time, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna open these. And then now I realize, like, oh, I have all these cool Transformers. Oh, hell yeah. Me and my son, once he's old enough, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to go get that big-ass box friggin' Transformers, Robot in Disguise. We're gonna bust out Optimus Prime. We're gonna bust out the evil Nemesis Optimus Prime. We're gonna have friggin' Menasor, because they had a remade Menasor, and then I got one of the other combiners. I'm like, yes, yep. I've heard of that Netflix series. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I've heard of this, The Toys That Made Us, and I'm sure I will like break down crying as I remember a bunch of stuff as I watch that series. At some point, I need to fire that one up. Yeah, I bet it's a trip. A lot of the stuff from when we were kids. I mean, my son was staring at this shirt this morning, and I was explaining. See right here. I mean, I see. Obviously, I didn't even think that I should look at all this stuff right here, because we got He-Man, as Daniel mentioned earlier. We got Batman from like the Batman '92 movie. Voltron right there. There's a professional racist, Hulk Hogan. There's a spaceman from Legos. We got Optimus Prime right there. Smurfs. When I was in elementary school, I was a big Smurfs kid. I was all about that. And we got Thundercats Ho right there. There's Lion-O. Over here you got Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe. Down here we got Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles. And then I gotta look down on. And then there's Chewie from Star Wars. Yeah. It's the Toys That Made Us. It's a pretty awesome. Jai, if you haven't watched it on Netflix, you should check it out. I definitely need to check it out. I've heard it on several other podcasts about the Toys That Made Us. This one wrestling fan podcast where they talked about all the old LJN wrestling figures, and the host lost his damn mind. He's like, "Oh, dude, this is so cool." But yeah, like that high recommendation for that. Just peripherally. Oh, the movies that made us. I'm sure it might be the same people, the same producers or creators. Oh, damn! Look at that. I was joking with my wife. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get past 20 minutes today, but you guys, as always, all of you who join me live here today, Jai, Damon, Ryan, Daniel. Who else? I don't want to make sure I don't leave anybody out here. Let me scroll. Make sure I don't leave anybody out. Anyone else who commented here? I think it's primarily you guys. It was primarily the four of you. Art was here earlier. I don't know. I don't know if you're still on, Art. I know you're 10 years younger than us, so a lot of stuff might be going past you. But yeah, no, it's because of you guys. You guys are the real MVPs. The Warren, yeah, Warren's a lurker, yeah. Warren's all lurking every week. We need the lurkers. We need the we need the viewers who just watch. Look at you guys calling Warren out. Hey, Warren just wants to. Some people just want to watch, and some other people interact. Interaction is not a requirement. This interaction is encouraged because it helps move things along, and that way I don't just sit here staring at the camera going, I don't know what else to say. We see how we naturally transitioned to all these old toys. It's pretty odd. Damon starts bringing up all these old toys and triggering all these memories in my battered head here. We can talk about all this old stuff. Dre's old man philosophy. But it's 9 p.m. I gotta go check on the baby. So as always, make sure always please you guys. I feel like I gotta say this every week now. Without you guys, I can't do the show. Okay, you see, you still got your TMNT. Yeah, see, I got some stuff in storage for my young man when he comes of age. I know I got some Legos here and there. You can't get yourself to sell them. Yeah. Some of these crazy collectors, man, they're wild. I sold some of my stuff. I think I sold a bunch of my sealed Transformers. Combat, yeah, the K in Mask was Combat. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to remember. I was like, what was the K? Mobile Action Strike. Mobile Action, yeah. Or maybe it was Command with a K. Or Combat. It was weird. As always, make sure you follow me on social media. See, Damon saw the video. Damon commented on our video on Instagram at DreGP Podcast. I am going buck wild on Twitter at DreGP Podcast. My Twitter is out of control. I keep getting into it with some of these wrestling journalists, and they are hilarious. And I'm tweeting ridiculous things at DreGP Podcast. You guys are already here on Facebook, but if you're listening to this audio, you've gone this far, Facebook's the same, @DreGP Podcast. I'm going to also attempt to update the gaming section of the Dre's Gaming Geek Philosophy. I posted up that video on the other Facebook page where we only have like 13 likes, but we're gonna try to work on that too. At some point, I told my boss I have to like work on some content at work, which will be double content for our video game wholesaling and for my podcast and for the gaming as well. Because we got to promote this stuff. We got a whole we got a warehouse full of video games, and there's no better way to promote them than actually playing them and talking about them. Right. The YouTube page, I'm going to update. Well, technically, I got an update. I posted the same Streets of Rage 4 video on YouTube. So there was a new video on YouTube, and there was actually a new subscriber. So now I feel pressure now. Like, oh, we got a new subscriber. I have to deliver some more content there. And of course, if you want to join Ryan and Daniel and Art, you can be a patron of the show. Patreon.com. Dre's Geek Philosophy Podcast. I have access to games. If the Patreon money gets to a certain point, I will use that money to buy games and give them away. I will give back to you. I am Bane. We have taken from others. Mobile Assault Strike Command with a K. There you go. Jai, it took a minute to Google that. Yes, if the Patreon grows, then so will the rewards. I have to work in the Bane at least once every few months into the show. The YouTube page, I will hopefully do more updates. We will, and the Twitch page, yeah, give them away after I beat them. Yeah, that would be wise, but I'm too much of a collector. I'd rather. I'm not giving away from my collection, but if we end up with a surplus of cash in the Patreon, because the Patreon helps pay for a lot of the utilities of the show, like paying for SoundCloud or paying for if we have a surplus in the Patreon, then I would be compelled to use it on the people. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for interacting. Thank you the guys who interact while the show is live. Real MVP. You guys are the real MVPs. Like I was laughing because I watched some of these other Twitch people and they give names to their people. The guys who are fans of the show, you guys, real MVPs. That's like your official title. Real MVPs. All y'all who support, who show up, who communicate, who comment, and help with the show. All right, love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week. I gotta go do some baby checking. Catch you next time. Have a good night.